welcome back. It's still the press. It's still Kaftan Television. Mikiata and the Lady Princess, and we are being joined in the studio right now by Ambassador Clem Aguiyi. I must tell you, I woke Ambassador up at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, Ambassador, you must be part of this discussion, because he is very passionate about this UTME issue, as well as this migration of Nigerians in and out of the country. No wonder you're called Ambassador. I know you're very passionate about diplomatic issues. You're very welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me in your studio.
Thank you for accepting my offer at such short notice. You are what I would call a dependable ally.
My pleasure.
Okay, right. Let's quickly dive in, because we want people to also call in and interact at once. This UTME issue, what's your take? We have 21,000 people cut out of it, 99% scored below, and that's in the rescheduled edition of the exam. Let's have your take.
Yeah, thank you for that very important question. What happened with this 2025 UTME is a horrible thing, very horrible, and it's very unfair to the future of Nigerian children, because Jamb actually mismanaged the 2025 UTME.
Yes.
And when they have this error, instead of trying to resolve the error, they went on celebrating that they have caught cheaters, that their technology have caught cheaters. Meanwhile, there were technical errors which they claimed that eventually happened. And they didn't even know about these errors until stakeholders begin to raise alarm and begin to question the pattern. And they opened up for scrutiny, which was good enough. And it was found out there was no technical error, but they say human error. And people like us have called for a broader investigation to know if this human error was deliberate,
right,
or not. Because if what we don't want is this to continue to happen again, because people's life, the children's life, are being affected. And what is even more intriguing was that Jamb withheld the results of over 40,000 of the candidates that took the exams, denying them their right to be informed and to know what they scored. Even if they failed, let them know the areas where they are weak, so that they can maybe be able to go into the future, get more prepared with better confidence. We'll put pressure on Jamb. We'll begin to talk about this. And yesterday, Jamb eventually released the withheld results. And with some of these children scoring between 250 and 290. But then Jamb released the result with a caveat. And what was the caveat? That this result they release does not entitle these children to seek for an university admission.
They should not really seek for the admission.
It doesn't entitle them to seek for admission, even if he scored 290. And Jamb claimed that these children signed undertaking before taking the exam, that they will not use the results they acquired from the UTME to seek for admission. And also, they are now excluded from taking Jamb in the next 2 years because they didn't score up to 320.
Wonderful.
And I asked myself, what kind of policy, what kind of draconian anachronistic policy is that? What right has Jamb to say that a child, because he didn't score 320 in this exam, that you will not seek admission to the university, and that you are not even precluded from seeking writing another Jamb exam in the next 2 years? And I think that is totally wrong. That is a horrible thing. It's unheard of anywhere in the world that such a policy will be in place by our own government that ought to protect these children, ought to incentivize them. The only crime they committed that they dared to dream to acquire education. And the issue comes into the contention, the issue that comes into question now is, does a contract entered into by a minor, is it valid in law? In our jurisdiction, it is not valid. When a minor enters into a contract without a legal guidance, without locus parentis, that contract is voidable. If these children are underage, as claimed by Jamb,
yes,
it means they cannot enter into a contract. It means that undertaking that they sign was signed under undue pressure exerted by them on them by Jamb, which is a very powerful institution. And we're saying that it is wrong.
Yeah.
It should be challenged because it's abhorrent. It's against natural justice. It's an inhumane law. And I don't know what they are thinking when they are making such policy and coming up with that kind of statement. And I think every right-thinking Nigerian should be able to stand up, whether your child is involved or not, and challenge that policy, because it is eating into the future of our children. And it is very demoralizing, and it is actually improper and should not be condoned.
Improper is like an understatement. That's my sin, is me trying to seek higher education.
Yes.
You mess up and then punish me for your mess up. That's what it's all coming to.
Yes,
and then try to cover up by making me keep quiet.
That is what Jamb is doing, harassing and intimidating these students. And instead of we, the parents, understanding, we the adults understand that, yes, our own generation has been wasted. Why waste the future generation of Nigerian kids by coming up with such a policy? What's the purpose of taking an exam if you cannot know your result? And when you know your result, you cannot use it to go and get a higher education. Please, now. It's totally wrong. And it's not acceptable. And it should be challenged. And I believe, even if a parent, even if the parents, a local parent has even signed on the child's behalf, so long as that contract is in the negative, not in the interest and welfare of that child, is voidable. You cannot stand the scrutiny of the law. Because the only time a contract signed by a child can be valid is when it is for the child education and also to get employment, like the children that are into entertainment industry, or they can get into that at a very young age. Yes, modeling and all those stuff at a very young age. So they can sign a contract, but that contract must be in the positive. Right. It must be in the interest of the child. If that contract is in the negative interest of the child, yes, it can be voided.
But
Princess.
Yeah.
Are you hearing what we're hearing?
I'm actually shocked by what I'm hearing.
I know.
So for a country that we're trying to promote education, and to ensure that children who are not in school get into school, I'm just imagining the psychological effect of this whole thing to those who have written exams and to those who have not yet written. Like, what hope do they have that, okay, if we write next year that this will not happen, or that my dreams of getting into the university will not be actualized? My question to you now is, there's been call for the resignation of the chairman. There's also been call for Jamb to be even scrapped completely, with the talks of the universities, because even after writing Jamb, these children are also subjected to write university exams. I'm trying to remember what they call it at different universities. They are asked to write another exams that qualifies them to be admitted into different universities. And so we ask then, what's the point of the WAEC examination they wrote? What is the point of Jamb? And then the university also subjecting them to write another examination which qualifies them into the university. What's your take on all of this? And what do you think is a way forward?
Yes, the people that actually calling for Jamb to be scrapped, people that are also actually calling for the registrar to resign, they have legitimate concern. Their call is not out of place, because we have called for a broader investigation to know what happened in this 2025 Utme, which they said is technical glitch. At the time they say it is human error. We want to know if this human error are deliberate. If they are deliberate, because up to now, even though Jamb said that this is human error, we've not seen anybody apprehended. Right. Exactly. We've not seen anybody being prosecuted. No. We've not seen anybody resigning. We've not seen anybody being fired for this error that have caused catastrophic, horrific consequences on 40,000 young children that seek higher education. We've not seen anything like that happen. And the only way we can get into the roots of the matter is by the Jamb registrar giving way. Because the more he stays there, the more he's making broader investigation impossible. I think the common sense something in a civilized country would be for him to step down, step aside. Step aside, let there be a broader investigation.
Right.
Because Ultimately getting messier by the day. The more Jamb try to defend themselves with him in charge, the more he gets into a deeper mess of what has happened. And which means we need to address this. There are areas I don't want to go into, because I don't want it to appear as if somebody is reading ethnic sentiment into it or religious sentiment into it. But then again, if you look at the demography of people who prepare their children for early education, you know that they come from either one particular religion or they are coming from one particular tribal group. If you look at it, you look at the demography.
Right.
If you look at also the person at the head of Jamb, his background, you find that he came from a religion where he has studied Arabic studies for his first degree, Islamic studies for his master's degree, and Islamic jurisprudence for his third degree. And then again, this is also people who tell you that it's legal. It's okay to marry off a girl at 13 years old.
Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there. For now, let's face the legal. Let's look at the legal part of it. Let's not even take the demography. Let's just say that 40,000. Let it be 40,000 or 40,000. 40,000 is 40,000 too many disenfranchised. So you now then make them sign this hush hush and kept behind, because if not you, we wouldn't have even known about them being made to sign such a document. Now, sir, you are a long-standing member of the bar. Can you tell us what legal actions or what can be done right now by the parents of those children, at least to seek redress, especially now since even the remade one has been taken? What can the parents do at the moment? Is there any legal way out for now?
Yeah, you can see even the scheduled one that was taken.
Yes.
Did not actually come out better.
No. Very bad results.
The children were ill prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jamb did not give enough notice for them to prepare for the exam.
Right.
And some of them were even having WAEC exam on the same day that Jamb is taking exam. You see, every subsequent action of Jamb that Jamb has taken after the first examination and the poor result poor outcome that came has not been good at all. Has not told good of Jamb, has not told good of the country. It's embarrassing. And I tell you also that if you look at this matter from the fundamental human rights aspect of it, the right to education. The right to education. The children have the right to education under our constitution, even though it's in the chapter 2 rights. The children have under Article 17 of the African Charter on Human and People Rights the right to education. Now, under our constitution, there's freedom from right to freedom from discrimination. When you profile people and put them as underage and give them discriminatory treatment as against other people, you are discriminating against them on account of their age. And if you look at it again from the Child Rights Act, is a child whom Jamb has alleged to be a minor, can he enter into a valid contract? The answer is no. No. He cannot enter into a valid contract. Sure. So there is a fundamental human rights aspect of it, and that's what makes this case something that can be challenged. So
I'm saying, what do you suggest the parents do now? Should they should each individual parent go to court, or can they do like a mass or a class action? So that they are, like the things they did in America for these tobacco companies. Can they take a class action against Jamb? And is there any redress for them? Are the children going to wait for the period they said they mustn't apply to any institution again? Are they going to? Is that binding on their wards? What's the next step?
One thing I can tell you that we must not do is to refuse to challenge this action. Right. And I'll tell you, any Nigerian, so long as it's a fundamental right issue, can challenge it. Okay. It mustn't be the parents. All right. But the parents can also, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 parents, can come in a representative action to take up a class action against Jamb on this issue. Let's even test their policy vis-a-vis the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, vis-a-vis other legal instruments that have been signed by Nigeria, like the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which Nigeria have signed and adopted and is binding on Nigeria. Let us challenge these policies. But to say that we cannot challenge it and then we fold up our hands, then we have an oppressive and suppressive policy, is totally wrong. And I don't think it should be encouraged. And I think people should stop being docile. You complain, you go inside and you continue, life continues. No, we have the law. We cannot carry the gun against the system, but we can carry the constitution, the law, against the system. Their own law. Use their own law to convict them and to expose their incompetence and their mistreatment of the people and the oppressive nature under which they operate. Because I don't know who is thinking for them to come up with such policies that are very, very abhorrent, reprehensible, and unconscionable. How do you make a minor start undertaking with you that is against his future welfare in education? How dare you? What audacity? What are you thinking when you make them sign? They thought when they're making these children to sign this undertaking that they are actually protecting themselves. Meanwhile, they just shot themselves on the foot because an institution like Jamb took advantage of children who you are supposed to examine to get them admission. You put them into a situation where they are signing undertaking that they didn't even understand. And they clearly do not understand what they are signing. Because if any parent, if any child understood that if I take this exam, I will not use it for admission. If I take this exam, if I didn't get 320, I will not be entitled to write Jamb in the next 2 years. Nobody will want to sign that.
For God's sake.
For goodness sake. Because they didn't understand. So they signed. They took advantage of them.
Okay.
And that's why this must be challenged. Anybody can challenge it.
Anybody can challenge it. Then the parents will just come in as
anybody can. Even you can challenge it.
Right, I know.
You don't need to have your child inside to get involved in the fundamental
human rights issue.
Because nobody knows tomorrow.
Absolutely. It could be your ward the next year.
Yes.
If they get away with it this year, it's going to be a precedent. Just like we were saying earlier on the ways people steal money. They steal now multi-billions because when they were stealing millions, we allowed them get away with it.
Let me even shock you more.
Right.
There are students who are in the university already, who have stayed there for 2 years. The university admitted them because it is the right of the university to admit people into the university. Them does do the exam.
Right.
And the university will admit.
Yes.
That's why some universities put what they call the post-UTME for them to write. And you also have WAEC to write, to give you the necessary grade that qualify you to do a particular course.
Yes.
Jamb has refused to release, to confirm the Jamb results of those students. They see themselves in the portal, they print their results, they take to the university. The university registrar write to Jamb to confirm this result. Jamb, for the past 1.5 years, has refused to confirm any of these results.
Please give us one last line. We're so out of time, but this is actionable. We cannot keep quiet. What, in a summary, needs to be done urgently? Let's look at urgent, immediate actions, because people's lives cannot continue in on a limbo, which means that their future is now not even ascertained at all. What, in a summary, should be done for these particular cases, like in a short term?
Jamb, action should be taken against Jamb. The policy of Jamb should be challenged in the court. And already as I talk to you, there is even a subsisting judgment given against Jamb, of which Jamb is appealing against. Government is a very powerful institution. And I don't think it is proper for government institution to want to win a case at all costs. Having lost the case in the High Court, I expect them to take a cue from there. But they didn't. They are litigating against the future of Nigerian children.
No.
And we've got to stop them.
Right.
And government bodies must not seek to want to win a case against citizens at all costs, not to talk of minors.
Right. Government institutions should never want to win a case against ordinary citizens at all costs, where already the citizens are in the losing situation, especially, Ambassador says, the minors. Well, let me take my last line here because we're totally out of time. We're even overrunning. I will pick this as our last line for you. We cannot face the government with guns, but then we can take the system, we cannot face the system with guns, but we can face the system with the Constitution. So let's not lose hope. Let's use the Constitution to stand up, like you said, for human rights issues. Okay, that's as much as we can take. And we've taken a lot. So much food for thought. Not just thought, but action. Let's not be docile, just like Ambassador said. Thank you very much, Princess. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much, you out there. We saw your calls coming in, but we were so out of time. But what will happen? We're still going to continue on this conversation. The conversation isn't ending right here at this moment. Keep on with Kaftan Television. We'll bring you more. Thank you very much. I'm Mickey Etta, wishing you a very prosperous and a fruitful week. Thank you, Bright. Thank you, Yira. Thank you, those of you behind the scenes that made this live transmission possible. Have a beautiful morning. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.